Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. My special guest today, best-selling children's book author, owner, and creator of the Tooth Fairy Company. She's also an ambassador of joy. I want to find out what that is, but I'm kind of getting the feeling I get it. I spent about an hour with EDIE Higbye right now, and there's definitely a lot of joy there. Her website, Practicing Joy, is practicingjoy.net. Welcome back, EDIE. You're doing so
Thank
much.
you.
I don't know where to start here, but let's start with practicing joy. How does one
Yeah.
practice joy? And first, if you don't mind, how did this realization come to you? How did you decide I've got to be intentional and practice? I mean, what happened in your
Yeah.
life to inspire this movement, really?
Oh gosh. Where do I start? Jeremiah, thank you so much. I don't know if I articulated it well before, but earlier, I am currently finishing my master's degree in the science of well-being and happiness health studies. I didn't even know that there was a master's program in that, so that was cool for me. It's only the second cohort that they've ever done. The professor Tal Ben Shahar. He was a professor at Harvard and he taught the happiness studies. It was the most well-attended class in all of Harvard history. So this was during COVID and after COVID. So he has been putting this program together for
What
20
does that
years. And I've
say
had,
about our society, right?
yeah,
Especially with Harvard
yes.
students that are there for no nonsense business.
Oh boy, let me tell you something. And happiness health this is serious business. This isn't about being fake happy or fluff or someone always having to be happy. No one's always happy. I'm a really positive person by nature, even in really, challenging seasons. And I've had some seasons, Jeremiah, and I know some truths, and some truths are that if we don't find ways to find our way back to joy, then we stay stuck. And if we stay stuck, then we're not moving forward. And the funny thing about life and the cool thing and the really beautiful thing is that life always moves forward. It doesn't matter if you've just lost a husband or lost a child or your wife or what's happened. There's they're still going to repo your car. You know what I mean? You still have to pay bills. You get 3 days of grievance if something tragic has happened in your family, and you have to go to work. Like you actually have to get up and go to work when your life is falling apart. And I don't know about you, or any of your listeners have been watching the news lately, but we need to start paying attention to happiness, health, and well-being, because the mass shootings, the depression, the anxiety, the suicides, all the bullying, the awful things that are happening to our families and kids and in our community, it's all of our responsibility to pay attention to happiness, health. Like if this warrants our attention as a societal and at a global level, really. My happiness matters. Your happiness matters. Everyone's happiness
We're
matters,
all
and we need to
interconnected.
pay attention. Yes.
Hmm.
Yep.
And
Pay
you
attention.
talk about discipline, and you talk about, well,
Hmm.
discipline's my word, but you didn't say that. But it does require some sort of structure or consciousness to
Yeah.
practice joy. What, I mean, could you give some recommendations on how
Yeah.
to intentionally, prepare
Yeah.
yourself for the things that are inevitably, as you said, going to come at you? How do you
Yeah.
react to those? How do we react? How do we train or
That's
rewire our
oh,
brains?
and that's the thing is, when you're when you're blindsided by something that you just did not see coming in your life, and you take that face plant, like our friend Aaron French said, and step in those potholes, it's hard to get back up. It's hard. So some intentional practices like, present moment awareness. Like, isn't that just the coolest phrase you've ever heard in your life? If you have present moment awareness, you can, even if you are in one of the worst seasons of your life, you can set your timer for 2 minutes, start with 2 minutes, and just be like, I'm going to watch a TikTok for 2 minutes that's going to make me laugh. And because you don't feel like laughing if you're in a season of sadness or a season of grief. But once you can just turn your mind to something else and have that physical laughter, it just releases all the dopamine and the serotonin in your brain. It's like this big, orgasm in your brain of all the good chemicals that you need. And when you're in a bad place or bad, not a good headspace, and you're just really struggling, we have to have some techniques to do that. So present moment, my happiness health recipe, like quickly, you have to buy the book or read the book, but like present moment awareness, there's this concept called positivity resonance. And then there's this like it's hard for me to sit still, but the meditation, being disciplined for meditation or prayer, like a devotional, it's called loving kindness meditation, where you just take a moment and you put your hand over your heart and maybe on your head or somewhere, and you just breathe and think about your loved ones, maybe loved ones you haven't seen, maybe loved ones you've lost, or just whatever that is, you just think about them with all of your energy. I have three favorite scientists, okay? And so my favorite scientists are Albert Einstein, Viktor Frankl, and then Barbara Fredrickson. And Barbara Fredrickson talks about 10 big positive emotions, and I have it framed in my office in my Tooth Fairy studio. And one of those big positive emotions is awe, like awe. So if you can remember gratitude and just pause for and just do a blessing intake, or just see three things around you that you can be grateful for in that moment, that'll also change those brain waves. The cool thing is and the science has proven it, the studies have shown it, that the neuroplasticity in our brain can be rewired. Like we can change it, but it takes some work, it takes some intentionality, it takes some practice. And if people say choose joy, I think choosing joy is really, really important. And coming from a perspective of gratitude is a good lens. But being grateful isn't always being happy or joyful, because you can be grateful for a job that you hate and doesn't make you happy.
Yeah.
So you have to find things find ways to bring you back to the things that bring you joy. So my core pillar things of joy, number one, of course, writing, and then cooking, and then photography. Most of the time in my spare time, I'll just be like, I'm going to make this recipe, and I'm going to take pictures of it, and then I'm going to write about it. And I don't know why I want to do that, but that brings me joy.
Well, I spoke to a guest the other day last week, Frank Fitzpatrick, and he's
Oh
a
yeah.
big time music producer, but he's
Wow.
working on rewiring your brain on health, and
Mhm.
teaches about how music can do this for kids
Oh,
and for adults, and that find a playlist that makes you happy. It reminded me when you
yes.
brought up
Yes.
thinking about your loved ones or doing something that brings you this happiness, this joy.
Yeah.
Go there when you need it. Go there
Mhm.
to this playlist. And so it also gave
Love
me
that.
a plug here. This playlist that we've been listening to on the show today is your
Yeah.
playlist. And
Yeah.
I think it's called, correct me if I'm wrong, Edie's Awesome Playlist. Was that what? Yeah, Edie's Awesome
It's
Playlist.
E's awesome playlist. That's my awesome
That's what we've
playlist.
been
My top
listening to.
seven.
Great playlist, by the way.
Thank
Good
you.
choices. That I wanted to
Thank
make
you.
sure I mentioned that. Okay, so another amazing thing about the show today. This is like I don't think anybody's ever had the Tooth Fairy on. You are the Tooth
Ah,
Fairy. I
yeah,
that should have been our lead in. We have the
you're so
Tooth Fairy
cute.
here. What
You're
is
so
that?
cute. Oh,
Before you
funny.
answer that though,
Yeah,
what we talked about, we mentioned your daughter, we mentioned your son and your
yeah,
husband.
yeah.
We didn't mention your dog. Your dog has an unusual name. What is your dog's name?
Macy Day Parade,
Okay, so
because
what is
she's
it?
Macy Day. It's so
You
cute.
love the
Macy.
Macy. You love the
Oh,
Macy Day Parade, and you.
I'm so in love with that furry creature. She brings me so much joy, and it's like God sent her to me right when I needed her. And she has filled a hole in my heart that I didn't even know was there. I mean, for Adam and I both, because we had lost our Shih Tzu of almost 17 years, like January 2020. And it was already hard enough year anyway for
Mhm.
everybody. I mean, it was just, or 2021. So we weren't going to get another dog. But I'd finished the book, and we knew we wanted another dog. And Adam wanted like a Mustang because my Anthony and Adam are both, Ford guys, Mustang guys, 68 Mustang. And I'm just like, okay. but maybe a Macy. And I was like, we had a Macy and a Mustang, like Macy Day Ray or Macy Day Parade and Mustang Ray. And I didn't say Macy Day. He's like Macy Day Parade, like you name her after the parade, because I have said for so many years that I don't even know a time where I didn't say this. So the Tooth Fairy has been part of my life. I love talking about her, but my dream is to fly a Tooth Fairy balloon down the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade one day.
Have you
Okay,
been?
what's
Have
that?
you been yet to the Macy Day Parade? Have you
No,
been?
no,
Ah,
we've never
I've been
been.
one time.
Oh,
You're
we've
gonna
never
love it.
been. I have interviewed with Macy's. I've asked them, they always take the interview or they call, and which is cool to me. I'm like, I got the interview, I got the gig. They're like, yeah, about $2 million to write a check for a balloon. I'm like,
Oh,
well, we're not
good.
there yet. Oh, yeah.
Is there a
But
tooth fairy in the parade right now?
no, there's never
So,
been a tooth fairy, so that would make
well, listen,
history.
why don't
Yeah.
we should start a campaign on this show to raise the money for you? We should come up with a plan. I think you should have all of your dreams come true. And I think that
Oh,
we should
thank
talk
you.
offline about that. It might be kind of fun.
I think that'd be
I'll I'll
amazing.
I'll throw an ad in every show for you and we'll
Oh,
plug it.
thank you. Oh, you
Okay.
make me
But what is
cry.
the love that you have? Is there a connection there that's like
For
something?
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. To your heart.
So, yeah, I love talking about her so much. Like, you're never going to get me off this radio show. So, 10 tips from the Tooth Fairy. Like, to me, we all know that the Tooth Fairy is a magical part of childhood, and teaching for so many years and working with kids for so many years, and families. There's this fear attached to going to the dentist, right? And I think I had to find a way to I knew this huge health disparity that was affecting children's smiles by, tooth decay is the most chronic childhood disease that we have in America today. It's the
Hmm.
number one absenteeism from school. It's the third reason we enter a child into an emergency room underneath the age of 5, and it's totally preventable. So having to teach them in a way that is fun for the parents to talk about it with their kids, setting up proper, brushing routines, and with the first time to get to the dentist, by first tooth or first birthday, just those fun things. But also, it's not about just taking care of your smile, but sharing your smile. So teaching kids about planting seeds of kindness and doing that early on with kids.
Hmm.
And then they can write the tooth fairy in the back of the book. There's like a magic mailbox and they can write the tooth fairy. To me, she's similar to Smokey the Bear and preventing forest fires, but she's preventing tooth decay. And that's why I want her. That's why I want a tooth fairy balloon in the Macy's Day Parade, like right next to Smokey the Bear.
All right, everybody out there listening, let's get that balloon, the tooth fairy
Let's
balloon
do
for
it.
EDIE
Oh,
Higby.
Macy's, call me. Yeah,
I say let's do it. We'll
I
do a
say.
remote broadcast from out there in New York City.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
I love
Jeremiah.
I love all of these things that you're talking about. Are really well, I don't want to say branded because this is your lifestyle, but there's a thorough message, or what's the word I'm looking for? Thoroughfare. It's like a through message. There's a through message with it, from joy to smiling to feeling good about smiling to feeling good about yourself. I love what you stand for, Edie. So
Thank you.
I am so, I mentioned it in the beginning very, very briefly, but Edie and I went to high school together a long time ago. We're not going to tell you how long ago, up in Pacific
I
North,
already said my age. It's okay.
Priest
It's
River,
just a number.
Lamana High. Yeah, that was
Priest
our,
River
our
Lamana
spot.
High School.
So it's so good to see you so successful and so happy all these years later. And
I'm part of it.
really appreciate it. We've got one more. We're going to come take one more break and then we'll come back and wrap up. We'll talk about Grandma Naccarato again.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything that you're doing right now that you want to encourage people to reach out to you, contact you? They should do that through your website or
Yeah. I
your
love that.
blog or
The
you.
blog, and it's not as consistent as I want it to be, but see, now this is speaking into existence for me, and it's part of my goal and part of my happiness health journey, and still learning and doing research as a scientist of happiness health. Really, is that's being an ambassador of joy, is that I do care about people's happiness. My email's in there. Someone wants to email me. I think people will really welcome the book Practicing Joy, and I hope to train it and like facilitate it and be, keynote speaker or be a guest at places so I can talk about happiness health with people and actually show them the science, because the neuroscience behind it is pretty rad. It's like, it's so cool.
Hmm.
So, and then I always say that I teach children about their smiles, and then I teach adults about their hearts and their happiness, and that matters. Um,
Yeah,
but
I think this would be a perfect topic for a TED talk. I could see you
oh,
doing that.
I made top 10 in Spokane. They had top 10 Spokane TED Talks. I made it to the top 10. I auditioned, but I didn't make it to the ones that they picked. And I was talking about oral health, so children's oral health
Well, you will
disparities.
keep
I
going after
will.
it. I think
I will.
it's a
Thank
good
you.
way to live a life. It's a great life.
Yeah.
EDIE HIGBY practicingjoy.net website
Thank
and
you.
blog. Sign up there. And I don't know if you can pre-save, but if that becomes a possibility, I would
Oh,
pre-save
that's
her
cool.
upcoming books. She's got 3 coming out next year: Practicing Joy, Living
Mm,
a Life Happy,
yeah.
Savoring Sundays, Celebrating Family Traditions. It's a recipe and a cookbook coming next year. And Me Oh My, it's a pasta pie children's book is
Isn't that
coming
cute?
out next year as well. So pre-save those. Go to reach out to Edie.
Cute.
And sorry.
Isn't that cute? A little
Oh, very,
Italian
very cute.
pasta
Very
pie book.
cute. Very
With
cute.
Luigi in there and
Um,
love it.
and your kids can email the Tooth Fairy at
Mhm.
at believeinthetoothfairy.com. If you
Yep.
want to email Edie and talk to her about any of these topics, Edie Higby at practicingjoy.net. You'll find her on Facebook at Edie Higby, on LinkedIn at Edie Higby, on Instagram, on Facebook at Practicing Joy and Edie Higby, Edie.Higby. On Instagram, Practicing Joy 2, the number 2 day, Practicing Joy today. We'll be
Yes.
right back with Edie Higby, the Tooth
Yay.
Fairy.